Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? Today we're going to be taking a look at something pretty cool and interesting here. We have the IEM Katowice 2021 replay pack that was just released. I'm pretty excited to see some of the builds that are out there for some of the players, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of an Overexplained series for YouTube. So we're going to be going through each game in its exhaustive phase here, and taking a look through the Protoss specifically. So I'm going to be doing the guide for Protoss players to see exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, also to learn as a player myself to see what are the optimal builds or what are the decision-making strategies that people are using when they encounter certain things, and try to devolve what's going on here with the players' mindsets, basically how to be a good player for this YouTube series. So if you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button on YouTube and check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/ArchonSC2. We're going to jump right into the finals, the playoffs, and the group stages, down to the lower brackets, if there's replays. Not every game has a replay, it seems, but most of them do. So let's jump right in. We're going to be looking at the finals of the tournament, Reynor versus Zest on Game 1. And we're going to go right through as fast as we can, but as over-explained as we can as well. Okay. So spoiler alert, if you're watching this already, you should probably know. It is going to be Zest versus Reynor in the grand finals of IEM Katowice 2021. We're going to be looking at this from the Protoss' perspective, calling out anything different. We'll see what's going on here. Okay, so do you see a very fast scout? One pro sends out immediately before the pylon, and then we have the second pro put down a pylon, the 14 pylon here. So the second pro coming out here, it looks like he does want to do some kind of proxy. It looks like it might be a cannon rush if I had to guess, but we'll confirm.
You must construct additional pylons.
It is a gateway. Okay, so it is standard. He's just being extra safe, it seems. He does lose a lot of money for sending out 2 probes on the map instead of 1. But it was just a very early scout. That building probe is also technically on the map, even though it's not really on the map. It's off the mineral patches, if that makes sense here. So he's following up with gas. Pretty standard, nothing crazy from what you would expect. Just your standard PvZ opener so far then, with the additional lost minerals from sending out that scout early before the pylon was even put down. Normally you would scout around the gateway, as soon as you put the gateway down. He's opting for the 20 Nexus, pretty standard as well. Just doing a little bit of mineral harassment from the Zerg player, which is good. You can have the APM for it. This should be a core here. 20 core. Does have 3 guys in gas. Takes the second gas now. Full mineral line saturation from Zest in the main base. He's used 1 Chrono Boost so far on his Nexus. Around 220 is when Zerglings should be coming out if they make the first batch of Zerglings instead of drones. Looks like his opponent is going for a little bit of delayed Zerglings in favor of a few more drones. So they'll be slightly delayed. Do have a Stargate popping out here around, let's gonna pause it real quick. Do have the Stargate coming out here around, I would say 220. Let's just double check.
You must construct additional pylons.
Yeah, 218. Nothing to worry about here. So he does forego the Warp Gate research in favor of getting that additional 50 gas to drop down that Stargate, which is all fine and good, as long as you remember to get it after the fact. So one thing that we're going to be paying attention to are the pylon timings. We want to know, okay, what time should I approximately be getting my pylons around after the first Nexus finishes, around that 46 supply. Around that 4.5 minute mark as well.
The firstborn shall persevere.
So the depth shade's out, probably just looking. He's probably not going to commit to this. Seeing if he can't see any Zerglings or anything going across. He does pull his probe back, so he doesn't know what's out there. It is kind of a risk, so that's why he is doing that Adept Shade, just to be safe. Chrono's out of Void Ray right away at 100% completion from the Stargate. Okay, here we go. This is one of the first pylons he's putting out since the Nexus is finished. Around 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Around 41 supply. A little bit earlier than I was expecting, to be honest. But hey, there you go.
Glory to the Daylong.
So the Chrono Boost has gone into the Stargate so far. Another Chrono Boost on the Stargate here, and another Void Ray coming out. He does add a second gateway, of course, to complete the wall off, as you would expect. Usually you do that around anywhere between 256 and like 312. Twilight Council being dropped down now around 345. The gases are not taken yet. Usually some players take a third base first, and then they get the gases. Although I have seen the variation where players take gases and then go for the third base. In my opinion, the third base is better. It just allows you to get more minerals faster, and the gas isn't necessarily the biggest thing to take early on because you can still afford the Void Rays here. One thing that we are seeing, especially since he's going Twilight Council, before he is dropping the double Stargate, or he's foregoing the double Stargate in this case. Alright, another Void Ray coming. So that's 2 Void Rays so far. Unit stab. Does drop it down at Robo around 408. He doesn't have any probes. He's doing a bit of a probe cut right now. No probes in production. This is full mineral line saturation to gas. No probes here. Adds another gate. And another 2 gates. 3 gates. Plus charge. So now we're looking at... We're going to add more gates, to be honest. So far we're looking at 6 gate, 7 gates. It's going to be 8 gates, right? Yes. 5 so far, 7. One more should be coming down here. There it is. Oh, it's a 9 gate. Okay. 9 gate so far. Maybe he has more. Still no probes, so if we look at the probe count, it is only 39. This is pretty all-in. This might even be a fake third from what we're seeing here. I wouldn't be surprised. He doesn't have any probes to saturate this right away, and it's a bit of a liability. This might just be a commodity nexus, kind of showing his opponent what he wants to see. Maybe Reynor comes in here and he scouts this and says, oh, there's a third base on the way. It's macro, but make no mistake. Seeing 9 gateways is not the typical macro follow-up here for a Protoss player in general. And you would not have cut probes this long if you were macroing. Furthermore, you would have taken gases 3 and 4 if you were going into that macro game, that macro mid game. This looks to just be a fake third base, and looks like a charged lot. Void Ray, all in. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. It's all speculative so far for me. Warps in a few sentries. He doesn't. This is important because it doesn't have gas, right? So if he warps in sentries, he's only on 2 gas. This means that's his tech. He can't afford anything else. So this has got to be a committed pressure. He's probably gonna force field the ramp. This will look like a sentry force field the ramp and do a charge lot all in on the main base or something like that. He's even sneaky with the warp prism, tries to hide it. Looks like he was a little unsuccessful there. He's definitely unsuccessful here. Alright, so he does warp in a bunch of zealots. So it's definitely not a surprise now what's happening. There's no probes in production, so yeah, that third base is clearly a fake. You can see that here. So he ends up canceling this base down here. Starts his 4th base.
We embrace the glory of battle.
This really shouldn't work. With the banelings coming out here pretty soon. But we'll see. Sentries to come in. at a really weird location. Lag. Go. Okay, we're gonna stop here for a second. So interesting. He did make a bit of a mistake from what it seems. He uses Guardian Shield here, which yes, Guardian Shield does affect the void rays. This one's not even in it, but it's not necessarily worth it. Here, mostly because you would rather have the energy to force field maybe the ramp and prevent like some of these Zerglings from coming in here. Guardian Shield is almost never the right call in these low unit battles where you can't really get value from it. There's only a couple units here, just like 3 queens and a Spore Crawler, to negate range damage from the Guardian Shield, and mostly the army of Zerglings. So it does seem like a bit of a mistake to use Guardian Shield, but I know as a Protoss player, it's very instinctual to hit that Guardian Shield button as combat happens, just naturally, so I can understand Zest's reasoning for this. Honestly, what does Zerg have done? No Banelings are in production. Wow. This Zealot all-in might work. I guess spoiler alert is here as well. So we do see that it'll work. But yeah, fair enough. So, right. So it looks like it did catch the Zerg player off guard. The Zerg player did scout that third base. He did see it coming up. This is a total fake, as we already know. He doesn't pull out a gas like you're kind of supposed to. But at the same time, in other words, he overproduced probes. So what you're supposed to generally do is pull out a gas, because you don't really need gas to do a Zealot all-in. It doesn't cost gas, as you can see he's floating a lot of gas. And you're not really going to be warping in a lot of sentries anyways, because a warped-in sentry means one less warped-in Zealot. So what you're supposed to generally do is, not to criticize Zest, of course, but you're going to pull out a gas and then maybe make a few less probes. The money that you save, the 6 probes here, is an additional 300 minerals that can help you afford these additional gateways sooner and hit faster. That's kind of the logic anyways. We're making additional pylons, because this gas is kind of wasted. But it works, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Fair enough. That's a pretty